Hi everyone, my name is Erin Elizabeth Weinberg. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. Welcome back if you've been here before, and welcome if you're new here. Today we have a new moon in Sagittarius. So for today's tarot card reading, I will be reading the cards in that way in terms of new moon energy, like new energy you want to call in, new things, how we can focus on these new things and shifts and changes in our lives. Okay, I have 3 groups for you today. You can go ahead and pick by the card you can see, by the number, by the sound of my voice, anything that resonates, group 1, group 2, or group 3. When you're ready, all the timestamps are below, and I will see you at the reading that you chose. Hi everyone, welcome for everyone who picked group number 1. So as a reminder, this is a new moon reading, so we'll be reading the cards in that way in terms of new energy. Okay, so you all pick the card enjoyment. Striving and pushing makes life into endless hard work. The more you're inviting love to take over, the more enjoyment comes. Allow me to enjoy this life, dear Lord. So that's a good reminder for all of us. So a lot of times, we think like, if I'm, I can enjoy my life when this particular thing happens, or I'll finally be happy and be, give myself permission to enjoy my life when this particular thing happens. And there is some truth to that, right? We do have basic human needs. We do need to have these certain things to have peace in our lives, but we don't deal with that internal longing, with that, like, that gnawing feeling that a lot of us get over and over again, then we're never going to be able to show up to life in all these ways. Okay, so in this card, enjoyment also talks about, so that's the first thing. And then the other message with this for you all who picked it in group 1, striving and pushing makes life into endless hard work. So this is, we are responsible for ourselves as humans. We are responsible for the role we play. We're responsible for how we're showing up, what we're allowing, all of those things in our lives. But we also we can get our wires crossed sometimes around what things we can actually control and what things only God can control. We get confused around what we're in charge of and what God is in charge of, or the universe or earth or all these other people or all of that. Okay, so I feel like for you guys in group 1 with this new moon, you can think about like, how can I stop resisting some of this, like, what's going on in my life? How can I stop resisting, like, letting these things come to be or happen like on their terms and not on my terms? Because, we always think we're right, but we never are, as much as we would like to be or as much as we think we are, right? So like endless hard work, this striving, this pushing, this, like, there are some moments in life that is like, feels like an uphill battle, but there's a difference between an uphill battle versus like, pushing a rock uphill and like getting, stuff thrown at us. And like, it's like we make things harder for us than it has to be. Life is already hard enough. And so if we're really trying hard to like control everything or say it has to be this way and not that way, or, all these other things, then, we forget, and then we can't enjoy our life, right? The more we try to control something, the less there is space for us to just kind of flow with life and let things go and just accept the here and now and really try to enjoy these things for ourselves. So group 1, I feel like, you can ask yourself, how can I focus on letting things go? Where can I add more lightness to my energy? If I have to do this particular thing, how can I do it in a way that is more lighthearted or kind to myself? How can I let these things be a little more lighthearted and joyous and free than like it has to be this particular way, or else, like, just letting go of some of that resistance. And sometimes that can happen if, things didn't go our way and we're like, well, F you, I'm not going to be happy then. But it's like, this is your life anyway. God put you where God put you, and you either have to work with that or not. The choice is yours. Okay, I'm going to look at your tarot cards and I'll look at your oracle cards. Okay, so we have 4 of Cups in reverse, and we have 2 of Swords in reverse and 5 of Wands in reverse. That's crazy. They're all in reverse. Okay, then we have the 8 of Swords. 8 of Pentacles, King of Swords. That's why I said swords. And then the 7 of Pentacles. So I feel like group 1, yeah, it's really time. I mean, this is crazy. I never get this many reverses in a tarot reading. So I feel like it's time to let things go. Okay, so we have the 4 of Cups in reverse, 2 of Swords in reverse, and the 5 of Wands in reverse. All of these in reverse are really signaling to me that it's time to stop resisting. Okay, so like this 4 of Cups in reverse is about not accepting things that are upright. It's about not accepting things that are happening for you. 2 of Swords is like learned helplessness of like, I can't see anything, I can't do this. And then the Five of Wands upright is about conflict. So all of these in the reverse, I just feel like this is just a crystal clear message of like, this striving and pushing energy that this card was talking about. The more you do that, the more it's going to be hard for you to like to move on and move forward and let things go and grow into these new things that are ready and here for you. So again, these three cards to me are really signaling, it is time to let go of that. It is time to, like, sometimes we can hold on to a lot of resentment because we think like, well, my life isn't how I thought it was going to be, so I'm just going to be mad forever and I don't want to deal with it, and all that stuff. And like, that's real, that's valid. That is pain to acknowledge. That's space to hold for yourself. That's okay if you feel upset about certain things, right? What these cards are really a reminder that it's important for you to let that go eventually, because like, you have to deal with the resentment eventually. You have to deal with being frustrated with things not going your way eventually if you want to find peace again within yourself. So these cards are really about letting go of a lot of that, and just, it's time to accept that this is your life and these are your circumstances, right? I know it's not forever, and I know that's not like the most fun thing to do, especially if it's something you wouldn't have chosen for yourself, right? But the more you're able to really hold that space for yourself and be like, okay, this is my life. I have a choice now that this is where I am, and I'm going to stop fighting. Because when we feel inner turmoil and like we're pissed off on the inside and we're mad, like all of that projects outward into like aggressive behavior or judgmental behavior, or like, any and all of that. And so these three cards together are just a reminder that, you're here. Again, God put you where God put you. This is your life. These circumstances are how they are. It doesn't mean that you have to like it or condone it or say, yes, God, keep me here forever, right? But we do have to realize there is a time and a place for us to accept what's happening. And there is a time and a place for us to be like, okay, if this is my life, what am I going to do? In the meantime, what am I going to do? How am I going to act? If you're here anyway, it's like sometimes we hold on to that because we think like, oh, I'll teach a lesson to these other people, or I didn't want to be here anyway, so I'm going to be mad, right? It's like, well, you're the one suffering when that happens. You're the one going through these hardships when that happens. So this energy is really about really getting clear about the ways that you are, just really not showing up for yourself. And like, you're hurting yourself eventually, when we get in this rut and we do this over and over again. So just, really holding space for that and really just saying, okay, how can I let this go? How can I create space for something else? How can I accept? How can I move forward? How can I, with this new moon energy, like cultivate some enjoyment? How can I be like, this is my life. This is where I am. What am I going to do with it? What is the best choice I can make? What are the things I can do or not do? What can I say yes or no to if this is where I am with all of these things going on? Because then look at this. We have the Eight of Pentacles, the King of Swords, and the Seven of Pentacles. So I feel like, this is going to be group one. It's not funny, I'm sorry. But this is just, the only way out is through. That's what I keep hearing with this. The only way to get it done is to do it. The only way to make change is to change your life. Like, I feel this energy of there's something that felt unfair, or like, why do I have to go through this? This is so messed up, something like that. And these three cards to me, we have both of these Pentacles cards here and this King of Swords. Really just a reminder of like, for you to move forward, it's going to be about getting really clear about what can I control and what can I work on and what can't I. The King of Swords is really about boundaries. It's really about, this energy of this king, like, really knows this is worth my time. This is not, Swords is about boundaries energy. This is worth my time. This is not. This is where I want to focus. This is where I don't want to focus. This is what I want going on. This is what I don't want going on, right? So a lot of those things, that energy, just getting clear about that. And I feel like, again, that can contribute to your enjoyment. If you're like so pissed about this thing that you can't control, I mean, what are you going to do? Keep like, rubbing salt in the wound forever? And like, again, not to spiritually bypass. You need to deal with that. You need to give yourself permission and care to, have these feelings, to be upset, to do whatever you need to do with that. But eventually, again, it's going to come to this place of like, it's just time to have some boundaries, realign. Okay, this is what I can do. This is what I can't do. And what am I going to do with that? Instead of fighting this constant fighting of like, okay, I need to be here, here, and here, doing this, this, and this, right? Because these two cards, the Seven and Eight of Pentacles, this is about hard work. This is about putting time and energy into what you need to do. This is about, evaluating your progress, of course, say these are things I've done before. This is how I know I can show up for myself and take care of myself. But also knowing, there's no skipping steps, right? There's no magical formula. There's no, okay, if I just, manifest this thing without doing any of my work, then whatever, right? This is just really a reminder that we have to be responsible for ourselves, and we have to show up for ourselves in a way that is really, doing our part, right? Like, we don't want to, like, again, we don't want endless hard work. We don't want to put our energy where nothing's happening, or where it's like, I feel like I'm striving and striving and nothing's going on, right? But these two cards are about a reminder that we do need to do our part. And a lot of times, the older we get, the things we deal with, like, things are given to us that we don't want to deal with, but it's still up to us to kind of own that and just like move forward and do these things for ourselves with all of that, right? So the 7 and 8 of Pentacles is a reminder that you do have a choice. You can, you have a choice where you put your energy, and you have a choice what you put your time into, right? And so this is really saying, as long as you're clear about your boundaries and what you can control, what you can't control, again, the only way out is through. The only way to do it is to do it. The only way to get it done is to do it, right? So just really, if you can, with this new moon, you can just say, like, God, please help me. Please help me see please help me see what I'm in control of. Please help me see what I can actually work on. Please help me see which things are actually my business to work on. Please help me see which things, all of this. So just really honoring, the ways that we do need to show up and do work and put these things in for ourselves, even if we feel like we're going, like, I don't want to be here, but, sometimes we are here, and that's what we have to do. Okay, I'm going to look at your oracle cards. Okay, so we have the card enhance. So this is what I was just talking about. It is like enhance the enjoyment, basically, but it's, again, enhancing your situation, enhancing, like, this is where I am. How can I make the best of it? How can I do these things that are supportive for myself? How can I do these things that feel good for me? That, all of this. So enhance energy is really about looking at, what can I do? What can I enhance in my life that I actually am in charge of and in control of, instead of, the other way around? So how can I enhance these things? What can I do? How can I move forward? What can I do with all of that? So again, enhance energy, like, putting your time and energy into things that are actually fulfilling for you, into things that you actually have control over, versus, demanding it be this, or this way, right? Instead of things like that. Because we have the cosmic heart, devotion, potency, make your life a moving prayer. So again, I feel like this is more of that enjoyment energy. I feel like group one, what I'm talking about, you have to show up and you have to do the work, you have to put your time in, you have to do all of that, like, that is important, but it's not like a death sentence. Okay. Like, we look at this card, make your life a moving prayer, devotion, potency, right? There's so much in life is about more of like what we do with what we're given, versus like, it has to be this, and this specific thing. So with these things you have to do, with the work you have to put in, with doing your part, with all of that, it's like, if you're going to be here, you're going to do it anyway. You need to look at that, right? So the cosmic heart is really about just remembering, like, you're here, you have to do this. So what energy are you going to have when you do it? How you do something is so much just as important as what you're doing, right? So like, really holding onto that energy and remembering the cosmic heart can be, remembering, like, we do have a choice to a certain degree, how we show up to things, the energy we have, how we're feeling, all of that. And make your life a moving prayer. Again, like, we think, there are certain acts that are like strictly devotion focused, but we can take everything we're doing as a way for us to connect with God. When we do that, it's so much easier to move through life, and we move with so much more grace and ease and compassion and peace, and just like alignment with God when we do that. So really honoring that, instead of feeling like, again, like, oh, I have to do this, and this is so horrible, and this sucks, and let me just get through it, and then I'll never think about it again, right? But it's like, you have to do it anyway. So what type of energy are you going to be doing that with? So we have feast on the nectar of life. So again, this is more of that same energy of just like, you have a choice of the level of what you're doing when you're doing it. There is this choice of, I have to be doing this thing, so how am I going to be doing it, right? And like, if we look with like jealousy or envy at, like, well, that person has it so much easier, this is like this, or this is like that. It's like, well, you don't actually know that, first of all. And second of all, what are you doing besides like harming yourself when you say things like that, right? Feast on the nectar of life is really about, God has given us so much. Life has been so good to us, so much more than we choose to see in each moment, right? And we like spit in its face all the time. And we get really selfish, and we get really like, well, this is my blessing, and this is how it's supposed to be, and this is where's this, and I'm entitled to this, and da 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 da. We have to get right sized with what we feel we're owed and how we think we're above hardship sometimes, honestly, and so feasting on the nectar of life is just saying, how can we really be right here and right now and see all the abundance that's around us, instead of feeling like, well, I deserve this, this, and this, and I want this, this, and this, right? So feasting on the nectar of life, giving yourself permission to kind of enjoy where you are. And again, this enjoyment energy of just like, the more you go with it, the more you practice gratitude and say thank you to God for everything, like the easier it is to flow with all of this stuff. Then your last oracle card is, we have the guardian angel of children. I honor the precious child within me. I nourish and cherish all new beginnings. So again, I nourish and cherish all new beginnings. I feel like, especially with this new moon group 1, it might not be like a lot of things changed in your life. Maybe you're dealing with something left over, like a shift that happened, or it could just be like, you're going through an internal shift with things, right? And so this new beginning, life is just the cycle of like things coming, and we deal with it, and we go, and we, do all this stuff. And, when we feel resistance to that, or we don't feel safe, or we don't feel heard or seen or supported, sometimes that can be connected to like our inner child not feeling safe. So I honor the precious child within me. So like, again, this isn't like pretending like you don't feel pissed, or pretending like you're not like, don't pretend like you're not upset that you have to do this, this, and this thing, or that, this thing is whatever, right? This is really about honoring, like lean into those feelings and really listen to your inner child, and really listen to like, I feel scared, I feel mad, I feel taken advantage of, I feel used, I feel whatever. And when you do that, it's easier to move through that and hold space for them, because you aren't being like, shh, quiet, I'm ignoring you, I don't want to hear this, I don't want to do this, whatever. So honoring your inner child is not just like the enjoyment, like the lightheartedness of a child, but it's also about acknowledging, I'm mad this happened, and I'm going to let myself be mad, right? Leaning into those feelings instead of resisting it, right? It doesn't help us when we pretend like we're not feeling something that we're feeling. It just, makes us even more resentful at ourselves even, which is, again, helpful for no one. Okay, I'm going to close with one affirmation card for you guys. Group 1. It is safe to ask for help. Okay, so again, I feel like, some of these things, when we're going through a hard time, especially the older we get, or the more stubborn we get, or whatever is going on for you, no judgment, I've been there, right? We think like, I figured this out before, I don't need help, or I've done something like this before, I don't need help, or I've whatever, when you stop trying to do it all by yourself, which again, like can make hard work for ourselves, can make all of this, like that's when we let miracles come in, that's when we let new things come in, that's when we let like this more generous, loving, kind, sweet energy come into our lives. And so you can start by asking for help, by asking God and saying like, I don't know where to start, I don't know where to go, please show me what to do, please show me who to ask for help, and how and where, and all that stuff. But again, it starts with safety and permission within yourself. Okay, that's everything I have for you. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. If you ever want any more information about me, all of that is linked below. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Hi everyone, welcome. It's for everyone who picked group number 2. So as a reminder, this is a new moon reading, so I'll be reading the cards in that way, in terms of like new energy, things coming into being. Okay, so you all picked the card Calmness. So the inner divine is the witness of all, remaining still and quiet even during intense turbulence. So take a deep breath and then say, quiet my mind, dear Lord, may your peaceful calm take over. So yeah, so I feel like, calmness is something I personally have had to work on in my life over and over again. So it may be a trait that maybe doesn't come the most natural to you, but is something we are capable of cultivating. And it is remembered to important that like, a calm heart, a quiet heart energy, like God lives right there with us when we tap into that energy. And so when we look at this card and think about, remaining still and quiet, even during intense turbulence, it's like, how can I be connected to peace? How can I show up for myself in a loving, kind way, even if there's all these things outside of me that, I'm just getting blown with the wind with all these things, right? So we really have to think about anchoring our heart into our higher power, into, the angels, divine beings, whoever resonates for you, whoever you work with. But just remembering that, this calmness energy really is a choice we make. Eventually, not always, there are things we're not going to excuse or pretend like are like, oh, I can just ignore that, right? But on the daily, it is important for us to have a practice where we attempt to connect to our higher power. It could be through prayer, meditation, going for a walk, journaling, just sitting in stillness and deep breathing, right? Whatever you do to connect to yourself, to feel that calm energy, like it's just an antidote to like this chaos of the world that we live in, right? There's so many things we can't control. There's so many things going on all the time that just seem like so crazy, and like, how can I do this and how can I whatever, right? So this calmness energy is really about remembering the ways that we can show up for ourselves, and that we are able to yeah, just like really let ourselves tap into some of this calmness energy, and just really let God's will for us unfold within our lives. And when we connect to our higher power, it's like, it's like that. It's just this big, deep breath, relaxing energy that, maybe we couldn't have touched before. So just remembering, we can always just put our hand on our heart, take a deep breath, breathe in and out, be still, be calm, and connect to some of that like relief energy, maybe in other ways that we didn't think we could before. Okay, I'm going to look at your tarot, then I will look at your oracle cards after that. Okay, so we have the card Strength, and we have Death. Okay, and then we have the Page of Wands, and then we have the Two of Pentacles, and then we have Three of Pentacles in reverse, and then we have the Ten of Swords. Okay, so Strength and Death coming out right away. So I feel like whatever you're going through, whatever turbulence or like chaos maybe is going on in your life, again, like it says on this calmness card, whatever's going on with that for you guys in group 2, just remember, like, you have the strength to get through every death. You have the strength to not escape into like, I don't want to think about this, I don't want to deal with this, right? You have the strength to get through the many, many times in life where we are challenged to push ourselves beyond ourselves, where we are challenged to think about like, okay, who am I after this thing ends? Who am I after this whatever? Who am I after, all of that. So the Strength card is really about, tapping inward to find that inner strength, that inner resolve within ourselves that it takes to get through some of these things that, again, maybe we wouldn't choose for ourselves, but we have the strength to like move through and work on our own. So again, the Strength card is really about turning inward, knowing that you do have the strength to get through these things. You do have the strength to figure something out for yourself, right? And this Death card is, letting things go that need to go. Sometimes we tap into our inner strength and we realize, oh my God, I didn't need this thing at all anymore. Or this other thing I thought was a huge part of my life actually isn't super important to me in the way that I thought it was, right? So these cards are a reminder that it is important for us to trust, like, the ways we're elevated and pushed through life that, again, we normally might not choose for ourselves. So part of like strength is winding up in circumstances that we never would have chosen for ourselves, and seeing like, who am I in the circumstance? What will become of me? How will I get out to the other side? What will happen with all these things? So Strength and Death really, just trusting the catapult into like this next layer of life, even if it feels impossible, even if it feels like it's too much, even if it feels like, whatever. So Strength and Death, again, a reminder, like, you can get through this, you can get to the other side. And then that Page of Wands right after that, oops, it's just a reminder you can do this, and this is about like, okay, some new energy here. I have some newness going on. I have this like revived sense of myself and all of these things. And, when we look at the Page of Wands, we can really think about, okay, these are the things that are working for me. This is new energy in my life that feels good. This is, like this kind of like renewed passion and self-awareness. So with this new moon, just thinking about, okay, when I get through this hardship or this thing I'm going through, and I develop this inner resilience, the spiritual resilience, who do I want to be on the other side? What does the other side look like for me? And this Page of Wands energy, like, you can really tap into that, and you can really think about, okay, yeah, who am I? What does that look like for me? What do I want to have happen? And so really trusting that, and trusting, again, this like renewed passionate energy, and this this energy of just like, okay, I'm ready to go, I'm ready to make something happen, I'm ready to, have this like refreshed, renewed rebirth energy, right? Because after death there's always more life, and that is rebirth within ourselves. And so this Two of Pentacles, I feel like again, what I'm hearing is you have to make some choices of, which things can come with you and which things can't. And so this Three of Pentacles in reverse and this Two of Pentacles, I feel like are talking about you have to cut things out. Everything can't come with you when you grow. Trust what you outgrow. That's part of life. That's part of growth. That's part of change. Trust what you outgrow. Trust what doesn't feel the best. Trust what doesn't feel like this can come with me for, whatever reason, right? But this Two of Pentacles is really about, like weighing the odds. What am I going to choose? What am I gonna whatever, and I think with this calmness, you can really turn inward into your heart and just say, okay, what's the truth? What do I need to see? What do I need to let go of? What can't come with me that I thought could, that, whatever. So this Two of Pentacles is really about what can I actually allow to come into my life? And so like what am I trying to balance here that's actually throwing me off balance, right? You see this person, it's like there's some waves in the background, they don't have the best footing, like, right, if we try to juggle everything, and we're gonna, we can't hold on to everything in that way. And so it's recognizing that. And then this Three of Pentacles is about like community and things like that. I'm not saying you shouldn't have a community. Okay, we all need to have support, but this is really a reminder of like, what can you do to be able to release something, to really say, okay, this can come with me and this can't. And this is just, this is like the infinity sign here, and then also on the strength, the infinity sign is on her head. And so this is just a reminder that with these infinity signs, you cannot miss what's for you. You cannot miss these things, like what is brought to you, what comes in these ways, all of this. So just remembering, like, you do go on infinitely, and you do whatever you choose to like let go of is not going to it's not going to take away from your spirit and your soul, right? And we think, well, I can't let this go because what am I going to have in place of that, or what's going to come instead of that, or what's going to, whatever. And so just really leaning into that and trusting that, and just, holding space for that to be what it needs to be in your life. Because then we have closing your reading, the Ten of Swords. If you don't do that, this is what's going to happen. Okay, so what I'm really hearing for you guys in group 2 is, you don't want to get burned out. Like, this is like you're at your wit's end. Like, all this stuff can't keep going on. You can't just like let all this stuff keep happening over and over again, right? This Ten of Swords is really about being burnt out, taking on too much responsibility. So you really need to get clear and cut out these things that can't come with you. And so when you cultivate this calmness, when you cultivate this connection with God, with your higher power, with the other side, right, and you ask for that clear guidance, then you are able to be like, okay, this and this can't come with me, and this is what I'm doing instead, and this is what that looks like. And that's it. You have to kind of test out the waters of, this is for me and this is not, and like not judging yourself, but knowing that, these are the choices I have to make, and this is excuse me, this is what it looks like for me. And when I cultivate that connection with my higher power, it's more clear the direction I can take and what I want to cut out of my life, so I don't end up like this. Okay, next I'm going to look at your oracle cards. This is exactly what I'm talking about, clarity. Okay, you want to ask your higher power for advice about, this can come with me, this can't. Please show me, please speak to me clearly, please, whatever you want to say, right? But this clarity is really about what is going to work for you, what is not going to work for you, all of that. And this energy is really, remembering that there is a choice, and the clarity comes sometimes, or sometimes we don't see the clarity when we're not ready to let something go, right? When we're not ready to let this go, or we haven't developed this calmness and this connection within ourselves to connect to the other side in our higher power, right? So clarity can come in when if we're not willing to be still, if we're not willing to look inward, if we're not willing to hear, what's going on inside of us, and sit with that and journal and read what's coming out, and, kind of explore within ourselves. Like, when we can explore within ourselves, we're going to get more clarity on how we feel, and that can inform the actions we take. And so this clarity card, again, is just a reminder that you do have a choice, and you are able to just ask for clarity around what's for me and what's not. And you can say to God, like I say this all the time, like, please speak to me clearly and in a way I can understand. Please show me exactly what you want to have happen for me, all of that, instead of, just kind of being like, well, we'll see what happens, right? Be intentional with it. Be intentional with that calmness, with that stillness, with connecting to your higher power, with all of those things, right? You're just going to it's a relationship that's worth investing so much of your time, energy, and intentionality in. And, you know, you'll get out of it the more you put into it. Okay, and then we have forge, don't follow, pave a new path, be the leader you wish you had. So again, I feel like maybe this is this energy of like, I don't know where to go, I don't know what to have happen, I don't know, whatever, blah, 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 right? But force, don't follow. This is really saying like it is up to you to choose where you want to go and what you want to have happen and how you want to do that. And so you can't wait for like, you know, these perfect, quote unquote, perfect external circumstances, or like, well, once I hear this exact thing, then I'll know what to do, or once I, you know, whatever. But forge, don't follow is really about making sure that you, you know, you get clear on your path and you're just like, oh, I just decided like, you know, I'm ready to have a new path in my life and I get to decide that, and I'm going to do X, Y, and Z to get there. And I'm going to show up in this way. And that's what's going to happen for me. Right. So forge, don't follow is about, you know, trusting one foot in front of the other and letting things, you know, unfold for you, but also knowing that it is important for you to like own the power you have in your life and use your own inner strength to figure out how to get there and what you're going to do, and all of that with all of those things. Because then we have ignite your soul's desire. So again, I feel like a lot of this calmness and this stillness and tuning in with yourself, and this, you know, even this prayer that's on here, right? Quiet my mind, dear Lord, may your peaceful calm take over, right? Like when we get still, we can hear our inner voice better. When we're able to breathe and tap in and just kind of hear what's going on, right? We can understand these things a little bit more. So ignite your soul's desire can just be a reminder that, again, you have a choice what you do, you have a choice what's going on within yourself, you have a choice of what you allow in your life. And, you know, igniting your soul's desire is like, you can't take everything with you, but what really brings you alive, right? Sometimes we just keep things around in our lives. It could be actual things, it could be relationships, it could be ideas, it could be beliefs, it could be habits, hobbies, whatever, because we think like, oh, this has been part of my life for this long, so it still needs to be, or this, you know, this has always been here, so it has to keep being here, right? When we really listen and tune in and we ignite our soul's desire, then that helps us get more clear about where we want to go and what we want to have happen and unfold for ourselves. And then lastly, we have Archangel Metatron. I'm united with the source of all goodness, love, and creativity. So sometimes when we're scared to tune inward, or we feel resistance to that or listening to that, you know, it's because we think I won't be taken care of, or what could be better than this, or, you know, all of that. And so this is just a reminder that, you know, you are connected with the source of all goodness, love, and creativity. And it doesn't mean that, doesn't mean you're going to be abandoned. It doesn't mean you're going to be forgotten about. It doesn't mean any of that, right? So sometimes we're scared to let go because we just say like, I just want this thing I always had and it's right here and it's fine and like all of that, right? But so this is a reminder that you are united with the source of all goodness, love, and creativity. But not but and it is a way for you to be able to show up for yourself with love and care and compassion, and knowing that, like, you know, the choices you make, there's always more, there's always replenishment, there's always an abundance of all these things, and that's what will get you through these things in your life. And, you know, again, not downplaying, you know, not it's really easy for us as humans to prioritize like, oh well, these physical reality things mean these certain things about me, but those are just a means to connect to our higher power, and we get it flip-flopped a lot, you know. And again, not negating, there are a lot of physical reality things that are important for us to have and have access to, but there are also ways we can kind of like slip into comfort and hiding in those things versus, you know, kind of letting them be certain things for us, like, or just letting them be like an extension of our connection to God instead of like the full replacement of God, which we don't want. Okay, and then I'm going to close with one affirmation card for you guys. So you guys got the card or the affirmation, I love life and life loves me. So again, I feel like this is just a reminder that we can get so in this place of like, I'm being punished and this is whatever and so horrible and it's not going my way and I hate everything and blah, 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 right? But I love life and life loves me. I love God and God loves me, you know, just remembering that, and just however it resonates for you, but just remembering like, this isn't punishment. This isn't like, oh, this got taken away, so whatever, right? It's just like this is just circumstantial things of what it means to be on earth. And I love life and life loves me. Just remember, like, just focus where you're recognize where you're putting these things that don't feel the best and kind of calling them back to yourself and letting yourself have more peace with it than not. Okay, that's everything I have for you. Thank you so much for tuning in to be here with me today. If you ever want any more information about me, all that is linked below. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is for everyone who picked group number 3. So, as a reminder, this is a new moon reading, so I will be reading the cards in that way. So, you'll pick the card Positivity. So, if you can find even one thing to be grateful for, it will restore you to the light. Please, dear God, let me always feel gratitude for something, even a tiny thing, in even the hardest situations. So, disclaimer with this card, I am not someone who is in support of toxic positivity, right? Of spiritual bypassing, of just like everything's okay and you can just ignore how you're feeling, right? We're not talking about that at all. But it is important for us to have a certain level of mindset shift of like, be like, I'm in a really horrible mood today, or my mental health isn't the best, or whatever. But you can also recognize, you know, you can be kind to yourself about it, right? That can be a layer of positivity. That can be a layer of gratitude. That can be a layer of showing up for yourself of like, I don't feel good, but I can still choose to connect to myself with loving kindness. I don't really like these circumstances, but I can choose to be kind and gentle to myself. I don't need to judge myself. I can have self-compassion. I can, whatever. And also remembering like wherever we are right now, there's usually something going on in our life that is, it could be, the smallest thing, but there's usually always something going on in our life. That is something we prayed for, something that's just a different circumstance that we wanted from a long time ago, right? So, feeling gratitude for something, even a tiny thing, and to say, thank you that I have my home. Thank you that I have running water. Thank you that I have internet access. Thank you that I have, whatever, right? This doesn't negate, again, these things in our lives that we need to work through, that we're trying to change, that whatever. But we are able to practice that gratitude, it really does soften the heart a little bit. And it really does help us, be right sized in our thinking and how we show up to the world and all of that. So, positivity, again, isn't like spiritual bypassing, it's not toxic positivity, but it is remembering like we can, it's the human condition to forget all of the many blessings that we have, right? So with this new moon, maybe thinking about, okay, here's like the gratitude list I want to start today. Here's these things that feel good to me. Here are these things that move forward and kind of what I want to, um, you know, do with all of that. Okay, I'm gonna look at your tarot, then I'm gonna look at your oracle cards. So first we have the Eight of Wands opening your tarot, and then we have the Hierophant, and then we have Six of Wands, and then we have the Ace of Swords, the Moon, and Three of Swords. Okay, so I feel like, this is a time for movement and momentum for you guys in group 3. So I feel like this Eight of Wands that's about you taking movement and then also like the outer world reflecting that back to you. So this is energy about like, really trusting like, okay, if I take, what's that Newton's law? An object in motion stays in motion, right? So if I take action to move forward with these things, then that's going to be reflected back in my life in some way, shape, or form, right? So what I'm hearing with this positivity and the gratitude things, like if you're grateful for your body, like go for a walk. If you are grateful that you have access to food, like nourish your body with healthy foods, support local, buy from a farm that's near you, right? Like I'm hearing like just do actions that reflect the gratitude for things you have. If you're grateful you have a house, keep it clean. If you're grateful that you have whatever, all this. So just a lot of these ways that you can tune into yourself and honor that and just really, reflect back how you're feeling internally with these actions you're taking. And then with this Hierophant energy, that's really about like back to basics, keeping it simple. Don't make things more complicated than they need to be, right? So this Hierophant energy is really about remembering that, just don't like, the older we get, we need to simplify our lives more, right? And we can live a simple life when we practice gratitude, when we have a grateful heart, when we have a lot of these things going on, right? But that also means the actions we take, like go back to your basics, right? Just go for a walk, say your prayers, keep your room clean, like drink water. Like a lot of these really basic things reflect gratitude because they're just a very simple, kind, gentle way to live. When we do that, that energy and that what we cultivate for ourselves within that, when it's reflected around us, it feels so great and it really like honors so much of what's going on in our heart and with ourselves. And so again, really holding space for that and really allowing um some of this like back to basics energy to come through, because we have the Six of Wands, which again is about like not flying high, but like this energy of like feeling good and feeling proud of yourself and just like, these are things that are happening and this is like, okay, this is, it's like it's not what we do in one day, but like the habits we have throughout our life that make our life. So when you do these things that reflect a grateful heart and reflect, okay, this is what I'm grateful for, this is what feels good for me, this is whatever, right? When we do all of that and we have the Six of Wands, like that's feeling pride and that's feeling things that feel good. And that's a lot of these things. And like, just really when we master these smaller things, like, self-esteem comes from esteemable acts. When we master these smaller things, they all add up and they all cultivate into wholeness for ourselves. And just really, again, honoring that space. And then we have the Ace of Swords after that. So again, I feel like the more you do this, the more you honor that energy and the more you pour into yourself with like, okay, these are the basics that feel good to me. These are things that feel good to me. I don't have to try really hard. They just kind of like, make sense for me with all of that. The more you do that, this Ace of Swords is like rebirth, clarity, energy around boundaries, right? So you're going to get more clear about like, oh, like the more I take care of myself, the more I realize I don't need this, or this thing. Or the more that I, have gratitude for my body, I don't need to keep around this, and this thought, right? So the Ace of Swords is really reminding ourselves we do have a choice around the where we have limits in our lives, what we say no to, what we say, these things that how we're changed like as a result of these actions we take. So again, this Ace of Swords, just a reminder that when you pour into yourself, like you're going to be surprised the things that unfold and the guidance you're given and what you're shown along the way of what resonates for you and what doesn't resonate for you from these places. So again, this Ace of Swords is about um letting yourself be shown what's going on for you in these new ways, instead of just being like, oh well, I set this boundary because that's what I think I need to do. But like when you take care of yourself, kind of letting yourself be shown this is what I should have happened, or this is what I shouldn't, not should, but like, it's instead of like I'm going to do this or this, but it's like actually I'm just going to let myself move forward with this and this thing. Because we have the moon, so I feel like the moon represents our subconscious. So this is energy about like, you actually don't need to have these 8 million things. Like you don't have to be in charge of everything. And you don't know, like the more you pour into yourself and the more you grow and change through life, you don't know the ways you're going to be surprised by, things that resonate for you or things that feel true to you or things that whatever, right? So this moon card to me with this reading in particular, group 3, it's like letting yourself be surprised by the changes you go through, by things that feel different, by, trusting your growth, trusting what you grow, trusting what feels good to you. So this energy is really about, there are things in the subconscious of ourselves and in like the realm from the other side that comes out that, it really just does. It comes down to us honoring ourselves, and it comes down to us like letting thing like, we think I'm going to be this exact way for my whole life or whatever, but we surrender to the growth and the change that's in our own soul and our own heart. We're just like amazed so many times about who we become and what happens. And so again, this moon card is really just about letting those things like come out and be your guide, instead of like, future tripping and predicting I'm going to do this and this thing, when it's like, well, are you? Is that what your soul wants, or is that what your mind wants? Right? And then we have the Three of Swords closing your reading. So I feel like this card again is like, don't break your own heart with this. Okay, that's the first thing I heard when I looked at this card. Don't break your own heart by denying like the growth your soul wants to do, right? Sometimes we can get scared, or we think like, well, who am I if I become that other person instead of this person, or whatever. But this Three of Swords is just a reminder that like it's important for us to don't break your own heart by denying the growth that your soul wants to do, by denying these certain things, where you want to go, by denying all the blessings that come from the Lord, by denying like all of these things, right? So this Three of Swords is really about, um, yeah, just don't break your own heart by thinking you know better than the guidance that's coming from you when you practice gratitude, when you practice these simple healthy habits, when you just have like a small life that unfolds in these ways. Okay, next I'm going to look at your oracle cards. Okay, so this is exactly what I was talking about. Listen to the inner voice. So I feel like, again, this is about tuning inward. It's about recognizing, okay, I do have a guidance system. I do have these things that are coming clear to me, that whatever. And when we tune inward and we listen to that, that makes all these other things in our life easier. Because we are listening to that instead of trying to like logic our mind, right? There, we do it in physical reality. Like we're not going to pretend like we don't. So we can't just ignore our minds completely. But listening to the inner voice is about, tuning inward and recognizing the ways that, we do show up for ourselves and we do allow these things to happen and we do allow, um, that voice to speak to us in a way that does feel like the best for us. And, knowing that God does have a bigger plan for us and we are part of something bigger than ourselves. Because look, then we have star ancestors, hidden secrets, lost wisdom, look a little deeper. So I feel like this is just energy around, just remembering like we are part of the bigger picture, we like just in humanity, in our own lineage, and whatever, all these things, right? So just this feeling of like there's so many things going on besides just our own selves and our own self-centeredness. And so this is a reminder that like, it is important to um lost wisdom, look a little deeper, hidden secrets. It is important to tune inward because there's so much there that we don't even realize, that we don't even notice might be there for us to access because we're so self-centered and we're so focused and we're not grateful and we're not trying to find these things that might be, soothing and nourishing for ourselves. Because then we have regenerate. So again, I feel like this a big theme what I got for you guys in group 3 is like, trusting where you're growing, trusting what feels right to you, trusting like these simple ways that everything's connected and all these things are working together on our behalf. So regenerate is, about not just like the bigger picture, that's the first message, but it's also like on the small levels, right? So what I was talking about with like going back to the basics, like drinking your water, going for a walk, saying thank you, saying your prayers, like connecting to all of that, and just regenerating your own heart to just feel gratitude, to feel acceptance, to feel joy, to feel, all of that. Just regenerating your own heart, your own energy by focusing on those things instead of focusing on like, well, where's this, and this, and it was supposed to be like this, and where is it? And, just letting that come from a place of you know just letting it be your energy field instead of like, oh, it had to be this or this thing, right? Because lastly, we have the angel of forgiveness. I choose to forgive all those who have hurt me in the past. So I feel like forgiveness is a constant practice. We also forgive ourselves. Forgiveness doesn't mean, just a quick recap, it doesn't mean you condone what anyone did, it doesn't mean you like it, doesn't mean you whatever, right? It just means that um the angel of forgiveness is like you release someone's energy, you release the story about it, you release this pain, you release all of this, right? So part of forgiveness, again, it doesn't, and you don't have to talk to the person directly, right? But it is just about saying, okay, this is the thing I'm holding on to, God, please help me release it, I don't want to carry that, so that I can move forward with this. And so a way we break our own heart is by holding on to that resentment over and over and over again, instead of like turning inward and being like, okay, what does this mean for me? What do I want to have happen? Right. So I choose to forgive all those who have hurt me in the past, just releasing it, letting it go. And again, not saying you condone it or you accept it or you're, forgetting or anything like that, but just knowing like, being brave enough to forgive is just about releasing someone's energy more than it is about like allowing, okay, this is a thing that I said was okay now because I forgave them, right? That's not what forgiveness is. And you get to have whatever boundaries you want around that. Okay, I'm gonna end with one affirmation card for you guys, group 3. I welcome miracles into my life. Very beautiful. Okay, so I feel like, what I'm talking about for you guys in group 3 of like having this gratitude and trusting your growth and trusting where you want to go, right? All of that comes down to like welcoming miracles around. um you don't need to overcomplicate things. You don't need to manipulate and wrestle with life and do all this stuff, right? But welcoming miracles into your life is just like, I'm going to do my part and I'm going to let these things unfold and be taken care of for me. And welcoming that miracle is, you know, something that is really helpful and healing for ourselves when we are able to do that. Okay, that's everything I have for you. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. If you want any more information about me, all that is linked below. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day.